Alright, so I'm going to record this intro part of the video while I can because I'm home alone right now. So I bought a pattern at the end of December with the intention of adding it to my market inventory, and I thought I would make a whole video on that process start to finish. But obviously that process starts even before you buy the pattern because you need to consider a lot of things before purchasing that pattern. Of course, you can never know for sure, but you do want to think about, would this product sell well at markets or online, wherever you sell your products. So the pattern that I bought is a no-sew dragon pattern by Crochet by Jenna. I have not sold any dragon products before, so with the dragons being a popular pattern among crocheters last year, I did want to see if it would be a popular product among customers. So, and I haven't really seen a lot of like low sew or no sew patterns last year, but I came across this no sew one, so I just thought I'll go ahead and try it with this one. Before I bought this pattern, I already had a crochet dragon pattern from a pattern test that I did last year, but the reason I'm not using that pattern for this is because that pattern involves a lot of sewing. And for products going in my market inventory, potentially permanently, I prefer to have low sew or no sew products so that they can be made quickly. And when I say adding products to my market inventory permanently, I'm meaning products that I'm always going to have, that I'll take week after week or market after market. I don't do weekly market. No, God! There are times when I've taken one or two like one-off items that are like bigger, what do you call it? Big ticket items, like, so they're higher priced, which is why I don't make them a lot because they don't sell as often. But if they do sell, good for me, because they're higher priced. But again, they are higher priced because they take that much longer to make, which is why they don't have a permanent spot in my market inventory. So after buying the pattern, I opened the file just to make sure that like all the pages are there and, you know, the file isn't like corrupt or anything. I always like to do that, just to make sure, so that if there is something wrong with the file, then I can contact the seller as soon as possible. But I haven't actually like read the pattern or anything, so it is like a brand new pattern I haven't really looked at, so I will start recording the process from there onward. Okay, so it's like 8:40 p.m. My daughter is starting to settle down for bed now, so I'm gonna open up the pattern and kind of read through the notes. When I buy a new pattern, I do read all the notes and like the intro part of the pattern, because there might be important things on there that I'd want to know before I start actually crocheting. And also, pattern designers have different preferences on whether or not they're okay with you selling the products you make. So that's like some things like that is something that I look for when I'm reading through like the notes and like the introduction and stuff like that. Materials. In terms of materials, the only thing that I don't necessarily pay close attention to is the type of yarn / yarn size and the hook size. If I wanted to make something that is exactly the same as the picture shown in the pattern, then yeah, sure, I would look at it. But I typically don't pay close attention to the brand of the yarn or the colors, the hook size, things like that. I'll just use my own preferred yarn and hook size. The abbreviations and the type of stitches used in the pattern, I do look at just to make sure that it's all stitches that I'm familiar with. So there's like a couple different bobble stitches used in this pattern. So let me read this real quick. So yarn over twice. I'm a little confused with the explanation of the stitch, so I'm just gonna try it real quick. this is not, like, I've never done a bobble stitch like this, so this is why you have to read the pattern before you get started. Okay. Cool. So like here she's going through like the legs and the wings. I'm not actually reading through it like round by round, but I'm just looking to see if there's any additional notes on there and like what and exactly what parts are included in the pattern. So cute. She included pictures from like her pattern testers at the end. These are all super cute. I'm excited to make my own. Okay, so I'm going to pick out some yarn colors, but before I do that, another decision needs to be made. Hey guys, this is Editor DeLong here, and oh my gosh, I was doing a horrible job explaining my thought process, and I'm just wanting to like punch my own face through the screen while I'm editing, so I'm gonna try to re-explain just to make it a long story as short as possible. So basically, I was trying to choose between using the yarn I typically use for most of my products, which is the Michaels brand Sweet Snuggles Light and Chenille Home Slim. I personally love these, and they're the perfect weight of yarn that make the perfectly sized plushies. Or I could use the Premier and Hobby brand yarn I ordered last year when I was on a journey to find different brands of yarn that are the exact same weight as the Sweet Snuggles Light, so that I would have more color options. But these ended up being way too thin, so they've just been sitting here collecting dust. And since I typically don't sell the very first plushie I make from a new pattern, I can use these yarn that I don't normally use. Thanks for talking me through this process, you guys.
Why are you the way that you are?
So, these are like some of the thicker yarn of the Premier Parfait XL. So I think I'm gonna use this as the main body of the dragon because I have 2 skeins, so I don't think I'll run out. But okay, just the one for now. And then I think I'll use, this is the same one but a darker green color, so I'll use this for like the spikes and the wings. And I need one more color for the horns. I'll figure that out later. So I just have this white yarn. This is Mainstays Chenille yarn, so this is like Walmart brand. And it's like slightly thinner than the Parfait XL, but I think it'll work. It's not. Alright, so a little change of scenery for my workstation this morning because we're supposed to have someone come to fix our washing machine today, and I don't know when they're gonna be here. So I'm gonna just sit down here in our dining area just to make sure that I'm like down here when he gets here, if he gets here. But actually, I haven't had my breakfast yet, so I'm gonna do that first.
20 minutes later.
Gonna see if I can find the center pull. I don't think I did it. Oh no. Oh gosh. No! It's gonna have a baby! Gonna have a whole baby. Okay. Oh god. I'll start with that. Where? Oh, what have I done? Oh my god. Ugh. Fuzz everywhere. When I'm crocheting with a new pattern, in terms of how each round is worked, I try to follow it as is in the pattern. I don't make any changes to it the first time, but I do take mental notes if it's something that I might want to make changes to, just in terms of my personal preference, depending on my own style of crocheting. I might make certain changes to it, but usually it's nothing big. Some of the bigger changes I've made to a pattern before is making a sewn on part into like a no-sew. There was one pattern where you work the head and the body separately and they get sewn on together at the end, but I just changed it so that I can work them continuously without having to sew them on at the end. Things like that I'll keep in mind as I'm crocheting and take mental notes. But yeah, the first time I make the product, I go by the pattern. So I'm at the point where the eyes need to go in. So I'm gonna figure out what size eyes to use. So here's a pair of 10 millimeters, which I think is too small. That looks so cute though. So small. All right, I'm gonna try the 18. Around 5 stitches wide, aligned with the nostrils. Okay, so okay, that looks cuter. That looks better. So I'll go with the 18. I showed this to my daughter already, and she was trying to take it, but I was like, let me get some videos and pictures of it, and then you can have it. So the next step in the process would be to go through the pattern, but I type everything all over again. I have a specific format I like to have all of my patterns in, just so that it's like easier and like quicker to read through like as I'm crocheting. So any of the parts where I had made notes to make changes or whatever, I would do that as I type it up. Try not to show the pattern, but I have the PDF of the pattern open on the side of the screen, and then this is a Google Doc, and then I just type it up as I read the pattern, keeping in mind all of the mental notes I took while working on it the first time. So next I'm going to make the dragon again, looking at the pattern that I typed up. And I'll also use like Sweet Snuggles Light, because that's most likely what I'll be using for products that I'm gonna sell at markets. So I have these 2 tote boxes that are under my desk so that they're easy to reach to grab new skeins of yarn. But this tote has like the neutral colors, so like I'll keep white, black, beige, cream, brown, gray, that kind of colors in here, and these are all the kind of brighter colors. So I'm gonna go through here and try to find some colors to make another dragon. I'm gonna try to find a color that I don't use often, so they're just kind of sitting in here. Like this lavender color is pretty, but I don't use it too often. Ooh, maybe I can make purple, but I might run out of the purple. I don't think I have another one. So over here I have more yarn totes. So these are like newer yarns that I haven't like used yet. but I don't see any purple. These ones are all pink and this mint green. I got them all in bulk, so no reason in going through all of that. I don't see purple in here. These are also stuff I bought all in bulk, so they are all neutrals. I wouldn't have any purples in there. Oh, this is like the hardest part because I'm not good with like color combos. What yarn is this? Is this the same thing? Yes, I think so. This looks like it'll go with a yellow. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna make a yellow dragon with this coral spikes. Yeah. Alright, so I've got the 3-color yarn I'm gonna use for the second dragon. It's gonna be a yellow dragon with coral spikes and white horns. And these are also thinner than what I used for the first dragon. So I'm gonna be using a 5.5mm hook. This is what I almost always use for the Sweet Snuggles Light. Perfect size hook for the perfect size yarn. The first time around with the pattern was a bit dramatic, but hopefully this time will be quite a bit easier since I've worked it once and I've retyped it in a way that's easier for me to read. So let's give it a go. Okay, so this is the 4th leg. Once this leg is done, I'm gonna go to bed. I got the 4 legs done. So tomorrow I will continue. I'll have enough time tomorrow to finish the dragon and I'll make any additional changes if needed. Yeah. Good night. I woke up with a headache this morning. It's not so bad that I'm gonna take an Advil for it or anything, but just like trying to stay hydrated. Contrary to what I said yesterday, I don't know that I'm gonna finish the second dragon today because I just don't really feel like doing anything. I just want to go back to bed, but I don't know that I'll be able to do that either. So we'll just see what happens, you know. I'm gonna try to at least finish the 2 wings and go from there. What is happening? My stitch count is off.
Later.
I did finish it. This one's so cute. Oh wait. Now I'm really finished. I did have to make a bunch more changes to the pattern. So like most were minor changes, like shifting stuff over a stitch or two to make sure that everything gets centered, but some of them were, I guess you could say, more significant changes. So in the original pattern, between the 2 nostrils there were 3 stitches, so you would make a horn, then 3 single crochets, and then another horn. But then a couple rounds after that you have to put like 4 increases in, and then you have to make sure that those increases are centered with the nostrils. But it was kind of hard to do that with there being 3 stitches in between the nostrils, so the increases were gonna be like a little bit to one side or another. So I just changed it so that there's 4 single crochets in between the nostrils, so that those increases down the line would go like right in between, like on the 4 stitches between the nostrils. Next, I am going to make another one following the pattern because I think another adjustment needs to be made with the placement of the front legs. I don't know if you can see, but this leg is a little higher up than this one. So I think this one needs to go, which way? Yeah, this one needs to go in the row prior. So after that one, the pattern should be pretty much where I want it to be. So let's make another dragon. number 3 is finished. Yay! So, my number 2 and number 3. I'm pretty happy with the placements of the 4 legs. I think they're all pretty even, and the wings and everything. So I don't think I need to make any more edits to the pattern. So I'm gonna, with the next one, I have to make another one, but with that one I'm gonna weigh the skeins of yarn I'm gonna use beforehand, so that at the end of the project I can determine how much yarn was used in total and how much polyfill went in. So that will determine how much material was used to crochet a dragon, and whilst I do that, I will also time myself on my phone to determine how long it takes to crochet one dragon, and all of that will go into the pricing. I do use a pricing calculator. If you do not have one, I do highly recommend one by Cameron from Cameron's Cute Creations. Ever since she came out with it last year, was it last year? I feel like I've been using it for longer than that. Was it 2023? For as long as it's been out in the world, I've been using it, and it's one of my favorite tools because it makes pricing so much easier, and you feel just more confident in your pricing because it feels more accurate than just coming out with a number out of thin air. And yeah, so now I'm gonna go find some more different color yarn to make my 4th dragon. Did you notice this? I have not been using the right color for the spikes. I only meant for the horns to be white, and then I wanted these spikes to be the same color as like the wings. Did you notice this? I mean, they still look fine, but it's just not what I intended, and I had no clue until just now. Okay. Alright, so first things first, I've got my scale here, and I'm gonna get a post-it note. Usually I'll just use a page out of my notebook, but sometimes I'll use a post-it. So I'm gonna weigh each skein, and I'm gonna write down what they weigh on the post-it note. So first, I'll weigh the skeins again at the end, like after I've completed the project, and so that'll show me how much yarn was used by subtracting that number from this number. I'll then weigh the finished product to subtract the total weight of the yarn that was used to get the weight of the polyfill used. I'm gonna open up the stopwatch on my phone so I can time myself as I crochet. I don't always finish the whole thing in one sitting. Obviously I'm gonna take breaks here and there, and I'll just pause the timer. That's it. If something happens while I'm crocheting that is not a normal part of the crocheting process, then I'll always pause the stopwatch so that I'm not getting extra time in there. I don't think I'm gonna film myself doing the whole thing because that'll be way too long even with time lapse, so I'll try to get a little bit here and there. Hello, what is this, day 3, day 4 of doing this? So I'm getting ready to jump back in. So last night I finished the 4 legs and the 2 wings, and I got started on the head part. So I got just past the 2 nostrils, and the The phone, even when I turn off the stopwatch, it keeps my progress, so I can just pick up where I left off last night. So I'm gonna do that. There's the finished dragon. I remembered to use the right colors this time. And here's my stopwatch. To see how long it took me to crochet this whole thing, check out next week's video. No, I'm just messing with you. So it took like exactly an hour and 10 minutes. Oops. So I'm gonna go ahead and weigh the rest of the yarn and then the dragon. So here's my scale. There's the post-it note that had all the weights of the yarn before. And now I'm going to weigh the dragon. So first, I'm gonna figure out the full weight of the yarn. So I'm gonna open up the calculator here. So that's the full weight of the yarn that was used. And I subtract that from the full weight of the dragon. And that tells me the weight of the polyfill used inside the dragon. So those two numbers are what I'm gonna use to input in my pricing calculator. So for my pricing calculator, I'm gonna do a screen grab on my tablet. All the tabs down here are all the pricing I've done on like previous products. So, and here's a blank one up here. So I'm gonna copy that. And you can see that I already have my hourly wage for the crocheting time in here and 6% sales tax. And there's like different pricing options you can do, like for craft shows and then for websites. I typically don't use this website part down below. I usually only use the craft show one. And I have the 2.6% transaction fee and the 10-cent transaction fee. That's what Square charges me when I do credit card transactions. All right, so I'm gonna first go ahead and do the material costs. So on the materials tab, I have all the yarn, polyfill, safety eyes listed here that I have used before. So first I'm going to find the eyes I used. These ones were, I used the 10mm black eyes that I ordered from Etsy from Groomy Supply. So I'm gonna go back to this. Oh, let me rename this. So I'm gonna say dragon, no sew, and I'm gonna put the product name in here too. And I stopped using SKU numbers, so I leave that blank. So I'm gonna copy and paste the eyes. So I bought 50 pairs for like $13. So I got 100 safety eyes and I used 2 of them on the stall. And you'll see it updates here that the total cost just for the eyes was 26 cents. Gonna go back to the materials, and I used Sweet Snuggles Light. So the Sweet Snuggles Light are $9.99 for, and each skein is 9 ounces. That's what the what it says on the labels. And then I used 3.9 ounces of yarn, so I'm gonna put that there. And now the polyfill, I'm gonna find that from the materials list. And I used 1.5 ounces of that. And so you can see it started to, in this pie chart, I love looking at this pie chart, it started updating that here. And so far, just based on the materials, it thinks that the selling price should be $5. But of course, there's no profit yet because I haven't added in my labor and any markup or anything like that. And this is including the 6% sales tax that I listed and the card fees. So for the time it took me to crochet, it was 1 hour and 10 minutes. And you're supposed to put it in all in minutes, so I'm gonna put 70. And then you'll see the selling price automatically gets updated there. And I do play around with markup here and there, but for my very new products, I do very little markup because I want to see if it'll sell first. Like, I don't want to put too high of a markup in here. Like 30% is probably too high to try it out. So I'm gonna try how much it would be with a 10% markup. It's $26, 5%. And you can just like, this is like your playground. So you can play around with the pricing however you want. So 5% and 10% markup is only like $1 difference. So I think I'm gonna do the 5% for now and just set it at $25 and start from there. And if it does sell well for me at markets, I will increase the markup percentage to increase the price and to make more profit. Hello, just a quick note here. I did record myself also updating my inventory tracker and the Square app where I create a new listing for the dragon. That is the final step of the whole process, but I decided to cut those out because the video was already really long. But if you would like to see how I track my inventory, let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to share in more detail in a future video. That is the entire process. Oh my gosh, that took forever. I think that took longer because this is an item that does take longer to make. But yeah, so these are now finalized, good to go for my market inventory, and hopefully they sell well. If they don't sell, I will most likely stop making them or only have a couple in my inventory to take and just have them here and there. But again, there's no way to know beforehand if something's gonna sell well or not. That's just a risk that you have to take, and you just kind of hope for the best because, as you can see, I put a lot of work into getting these priced and even kind of having to like rework the pattern here and there. Thanks so much for tagging along with me today. I hope that this gave you a helpful behind the scenes look at what goes into turning a pattern into a finished product that's ready to sell at markets. From picking out a pattern to crocheting to figuring out a fair price, there's definitely a lot that goes into it. It's more than just making something cute. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. And if you have any questions about my process or want to see something specific in a future video, leave me a comment. And I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.